Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to another reaction for another SunnyV2 video, and this is Where Are the Chris Hansen Predators Today? This is gonna be an interesting one. I want to watch some of To Catch a Predator. Usually watching people's reactions, because I don't like watching myself. Like Moist Critical watched them. I think somebody else did. I watched a little bit of them too. Was it Asmongold? No, that doesn't sound right. It was somebody else. I was watching Moist Critical, and then like I ran out of one of those, so I was like, and when I say I was watching them, I'm more like put it in the background. I wasn't really. And when I hear like, oh, this guy looks like a murderer, I'm like, I look over, I'm like, yeah, I agree. Anyway, back to my game. Yeah, I listened to someone watching To Catch a Predator while playing a video game. That's where I'm at in my life. Anyway, so let me see if I'll even recognize any of these people. I definitely recognize these two right now, but. This guy looks like Fat John Cena, and this guy looks like, he looks like, oh my god, he looks like, oh, wait, he looks like somebody, the one on the left. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not Fat John Cena, like morphed John Cena, I should say. More generic looking John Cena on the right. Anyway, let's go. Link in the description. 3, 2, 1, and play.
This video will cover exactly what
Pizza
happened
guy.
to the 6
Mail
most
carrier.
notable creeps from Hansen vs. Predator, and we're going to begin by talking
like
about
board
the
game
math tutor
characters.
Mike Manzi, who's had his life pretty much ruined as a result of the I'm Chris Hansen, No You're Not episode. After arriving at the Sting House, Mike bumped into Chris immediately before trying to make the excuse that he was simply making sure that the 13-year-old girl was safe inside her house.
Yeah, what a guy.
After desperately attempting to leave, Mike was arrested.
That guy definitely doesn't look like a predator at all.
Taken back to the police station and interrogated for approximately 35 minutes.
Looks like he belongs in The Hills Have Eyes.
After which the episode ends with the explanation that because Mike's discussion was pretty clean prior to the meetup, he was only sentenced to 3 years probation, meaning that he avoided any time in prison and wasn't registered on any unsavory lists. However, this isn't to say that Mike's life has been easy ever since the episode went live. In late 2021, a conversation was leaked with one of the show's editors who explained that the head of security, Ron Knight, was actually Mike Manzi's uncle, and that there is a part that never aired where Manzi is insisting to Knight to let him go because he's known Manzi since birth. This is apparently why Manzi made such an effort to convince the crew to let him leave peacefully, yet his uncle told Manzi the best thing he could do is go through the garage and remain silent, which Manzi obviously didn't do. As a result of the episode, Mike now hates his uncle, which has more than likely led to the decline of Manzi's other family relationships. However, the most interesting thing revealed in the message exchange was that Manzi was an avid watcher of TCAP back in the day, which explains why he recognized.
He immediately knew. You know you're. But he said no, you're not.
Immediately. Mike has since been found on a felony dating site as well as on Facebook under.
Wait, I'm sorry. A what? I'm sorry. The fucking what? Excuse me?
Immediately. Mike has since been found on a felony
dating site. I didn't even know those existed. I guess that's not surprising.
Dating site as well as on Facebook under a different name, where a Reddit user was able to get this picture. As well as apparently
on
Facebook under a different
detective work. Yeah, I'm sure it's the same people that found fucking Shia LaBeouf's fucking flags.
Name. A Reddit user was able to get this picture, as well as apparently have a conversation with Mike, who stated that he gets recognized very often, and that Mike actually seems like a very chilled out dude. On Chris Hansen's podcast, Chris explained that Mike is no longer working in education.
As far as we know, he is not tutoring or teaching anywhere. He lives with his parents, which would explain
the way fucking Chris Hansen speaks.
Who recently surfaced.
It sounds fake, but he talks like that in everything, so I guess not.
Photos of Mike working in a retail job, representing a pretty significant fall since tutoring for some of Connecticut's wealthiest families. However, Mike still got off lightly in comparison to John Dupee, who, as a result of his appearance on the show,
this one looks familiar.
Has now become homeless. John waltzed into the Sting House without saying a word and was so creepy that simply standing
I don't remember those
next to him was enough to terrify the decoy, yet she apparently had nothing to worry about as he stated that he was only there to watch the football. After revealing that John was simultaneously talking to more than one minor, he was arrested, interrogated, and given a notice to appear in court, where he'd been trolled and heckled by the attendees as he pleaded guilty.
And the judge actually in the case had to order the crowd to be quiet, to be orderly, because they had figured out who he was and what he was being accused of, what he was pleading guilty to.
John Dupee was given an 8-year prison sentence beginning in August 2016, although this certainly isn't where the story ends. sentence. Only 4 months into his prison term, John's brother and sister were both killed in a car accident, which happened on the very same street where the Sting house was located, and in case losing both of his siblings wasn't bad enough, there are unconfirmed anecdotes that John was also disowned by his parents after the episode went live.
Wow.
He was released from prison on the 24th of July 2018, serving just 2 years out of his 8-year sentence, yet after being released, John was forced to register on a public offender list, which displayed his address as a Connecticut homeless shelter. After 3 years in the shelter, John was able to move into a group house, although in October 2021, only 2 months after moving out of the homeless shelter, John violated his probation in an unspecified way and was sent back to prison for another year and 2 months. Since his release in December 2022, John has been residing in a shelter for recovering addicts, although John Dupee isn't the only person on this list
his transitions are really good.
who's been back to prison, as Joshua Cologne also recently violated his
Don't remember this guy. The other guy I thought I recognized, but I don't.
Joshua was the New
I don't remember the bag and the guy. I got some food.
plumber
Go watch your football.
who locked the door behind him after entering the Sting house, stating
Whoa.
that his biggest nightmare was ending up on a Chris Hansen episode.
Oh,
After Josh comes out of the bathroom, Chris
hey,
is
guess
already
what?
there
Hey, what's up, buddy?
You know who I am?
Yeah, goddamn, man. I'm like the goddamn boogeyman. You said my name 3 times. I showed the fuck up.
Josh is unbelievably
What's up, baby?
honest, laying out his intentions immediately. After being taken back to the station, he'd incredibly admit that this wasn't the first time that he'd met up with someone underage, which eventually helped the court to secure a 7-year prison sentence. After the sting happened, but before Josh went to prison, he was still working as a plumber.
Oh, that's not Photoshop? That looks like...
And would admit to a co-worker that he was very remorseful and would happily take back his crazy Russian ex and go back to that house with Chris Hansen. On his really bad days, he would talk about how he doesn't want to die alone and that he knows that he'll never have a semblance of a normal life again. Josh was sent to prison a few months later in early 2016 and would serve 3 years out of his 7-year sentence. However, this wouldn't be the last time that Josh ended up behind bars. In September 2020, approximately 1 year after being released from his first prison stint, a post was made to the TCAP forum stating, Joshua Cologne was convicted yesterday after spending a few months in prison for a probation violation. 4 years jail, execution suspended after 6 months, probation 9 years. This guy will never learn. Josh's second prison term came to an end in March 2021, after which his former co-worker and friend took to Reddit to explain the reason for the sentence.
Yes, he was the exact same weight as Josh, so they looked almost identical times. I was pretty creeped out by it, but it's not like he ever put the moves on me or something, although he did sometimes make weird comments like, you're good looking, but not my type. And no, he wouldn't say it jokingly. No clue. You can talk to me after. Okay, this was pretty wild. Okay, you two recommended it to me. Wait, what?
He contacted me after he
I think I skipped a little bit too much there.
out of prison for a second time, letting me know that he'd been...
I guess someone would ask him a bunch of questions, just answering them. Yeah, I didn't read that top part.
Apparently he wasn't allowed to have any pictures of any children on his phone. His sister shared a picture of his niece in a chat that he was in, and he got locked up for it, his explanation. Interestingly, if you now search Josh's name on an inmate search engine, it states that Joshua Cologne is, or was recently, an inmate currently at the Connecticut Department of Corrections, CTDOC, located in Weathersford, CT, leading many to believe that Josh is now back in prison for a third time. But what happened to the wealthy accountant who Chris recognized?
The guy Chris knew.
His name was Charles Lawrence, and after walking into the Sting house, the following exchange occurred.
Now, Chris, what are you doing? But this is the first time I've caught anyone who I know.
After which Charles was arrested and taken back to the station for an interview. Throughout the interrogation, Charles made the hilarious claim that, because of his poor eyesight, he read the decoys ages 18 instead of 13.
Like, that makes it, I mean, it makes it a little bit better, I guess. Legal, but you're like fucking 78 years old, bro. What the fuck?
I got scratched. My glasses were upstairs. And look, I thought he said 18. I swear to God, I would never, ever in my entire life be a 13-year-old.
However, the judge wasn't dumb enough to buy this excuse, who sentenced Lawrence to 2 years in prison, which he'd served between June 2016 and June 2018.
So how the fuck did he know?
Whilst in prison, the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants,
That's too early
under
for this
which
shit.
Lawrence was employed, confirmed that
Chris
Mr.
at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, what? Chris know this guy. What was he, his goddamn brother? What the fuck?
Lawrence's AI
What are you doing here?
CPA membership was terminated effective May 25th, 2017
Oh, is your friend,
because
I
of a
assume?
final judgment of conviction for a crime punishable by imprisonment for more than 1 year.
Why would
Chris
you-
also mentioned that
Alright,
Charles
here
had
we
a
go.
second job as a commercial real estate agent, and after finding Charles's LinkedIn, it states that he's the president of a company called Lawrence Real Estate Enterprises Inc., which is still active today and lists Charles as the company's CEO. However, Chris did mention on his podcast that Charles had some issues with keeping his license.
I'm not clear as to whether or not he's still involved in commercial real estate. There was an issue with his license after his conviction, after he pleaded guilty.
Although, even if he was able to, it's unlikely that Charles would get much work these
Hey,
days
look
given
away.
his reputation.
We know who you
In May
are, we see you.
2021, a post was made to Reddit explaining that they saw Charles Lawrence living in an over 55s complex, which has been confirmed as true after looking up the address listed on his public offender registry. This page also shows the most recent photo of him, taken in mid-2018, exhausting all of the information that we have on Charles Lawrence. However,
It's like the most generic looking, like, 60-something-year-old man.
got plenty of dirt on the now infamous Stephen Buchanan, who gained notoriety for showing up to the Sting house with duct tape, a camera, and various weapons in his car.
Whoa, I don't remember that one either. I'm glad I don't watch
This was
shit.
extra
I guess I'm kind of watching it now.
terrifying because after arriving
2018. Oh, this is Hansen vs. Predators.
at the house,
Okay.
he refused to enter and rather tried to coax
I definitely didn't watch this. I only watched To Catch a Predator. The moist critical stuff.
the decoy into getting into his vehicle.
Do you want to come in?
You want to go?
Can we just like come in and we can chat for a little bit? What do you want to do?
I'll show you around first. You get some food if you want. You want me to show you around?
Can we watch a movie?
I'm not going to the movie.
After being confronted by Chris, Buchanan tries to blame his depravity on the PTSD he got during his military time in Iraq, although despite this impediment, Buchanan still served 3 years in prison, after which fans of the show began
Yeah,
to
thank you for your service. Now get your ass in that prison.
notice that the story he shared with Chris wasn't entirely accurate. A user by the name of Bud1985 took to Reddit in a post reading, Stephen Buchanan. This took me a good hour of searching through old pics from Iraq, but I finally found it. I served with this turd. Bud continued in the comments by stating, when he was active duty, he was a tank mechanic. And how do I know this? He was my tank's mechanic. He would do maintenance on it in the motor pool every Monday. He never went on a single mission. He never seen a minute of combat. He may have been through some mortar fire, but that's it. It pissed me off so bad when I heard him blame it on PTSD. The most recent photo of Stephen Buchanan comes from July 2022, which accompanies a further update from Chris Hansen's podcast.
And as far as we can tell,
There's
he
only 30 ratings for this? Damn. Must not do all that great.
still lives in Connecticut with his parents, and he's working driving a large truck.
Also explaining that he was able to have a conversation with Stephen's father.
I called the number we had for Stephen Buchanan, and a man picked up, and it actually sounded a little bit like Stephen Buchanan, and I asked for Stephen. Right away, the man said, is this Chris Hansen? And I said, yes, it is. This is why you're calling. I said, I'm calling for Stephen Buchanan, and the father had the tone of a man exasperated with having to deal with the circumstances around his son.
I'm
He told
sure.
me that Stephen has moved on with his life, and
He's moved on to the great beyond. Like, I'm sorry.
essentially that he wants to only look forward, and then the senior Buchanan
I
asked
gave
that
him
never
life, I
called
took
the
it
number
away.
again.
But while Stephen has done a pretty good job of moving on with his life, this has been significantly more
I
difficult
want to know more about this pizza guy.
for Jeff Sokol,
pizza guy.
who became arguably
Let's
the
go.
most notable predator in Chris Hansen history after bringing
How? I don't remember the. I must have just not been paying attention. Oh, pizza, that's great.
a
Whatever.
pepperoni pizza to the Fairfield Sting House.
Whatever.
The iconic episode became etched in YouTube history as Jeff seemed so relaxed about the confrontation that he was
Hey,
only
you
able
want a
to
slice?
focus on his dinner.
I want to know a little bit more about you first.
Can I eat first?
After Jeff spent 16 minutes demolishing his pizza, he'd offer Chris a slice on the way out.
You can take your pizza if you like.
You want a slice?
I'm good, thank you.
And even after being taken back to the station, Jeff maintained the attitude that he hadn't done anything wrong, according to a source who was at the station
Alright,
with
DSP.
him.
I did nothing wrong.
We kept his cool. He's pretty helping his dad. He should be able to get out of it.
What is this? A demon from The Conjuring? What the fuck is this?
Really take care of his needs.
While Jeff seemed confident that he wouldn't receive any charges, this didn't alter his reality,
going?
as after going through
Oh, he forgot his
3 different
pizza, hold on.
lawyers, he'd be sentenced to 2.5 years in prison beginning on the 27th
Where you
of May
going?
2017. Whilst locked up, the Jeff Sokol episode became so popular that fans of the show tracked down the restaurant from which the pizza had been ordered and began to visit the restaurant asking for the exact same pizza that Jeff had got.
Chips. Stupid as shit.
The restaurant has since had hundreds of positive reviews, many of which subtly referencing the Jeff Sokol incident, and according to an email sent to us by a fan, the restaurant had to eventually ask people to stop asking for the Sokol special, although there doesn't actually seem to be any evidence for this claim. By the time Jeff was released from prison in June 2019, his appearance
I wouldn't give a fuck. I'd be like, whatever.
on the show had racked a review count in the tens
Jesus
of millions,
Lord.
leading Jeff to try and change his name legally.
I probably didn't watch. That's probably exactly why. I'm sure that Moist Critical didn't. He's already watched it, so that's why I didn't do a reaction for it. That's probably why. So I probably watch a lot of the stuff that was like lesser tier. That's probably why. I never really watched To Catch a Predator. I'm okay. I don't really like reality shows anyway like that. Not that it's the same thing. It's just, it's one of those, like, it's definitely one of the more real ones out there, that's for sure.
To Sonny Derek Porter.
Sokol actually went to court and petitioned to
Sonny
change
Porter.
his name to
Sonny Porter.
Derek
That's
Porter.
that's the best game. That's the best name you could come up with. Sonny Porter. Were you fucking from Godfather?
2 years ago, I was
Damn.
arrested as a part of a sting operation trying to meet a girl who was underage. The sting was part of a nationally syndicated TV show, Crime Watch Daily, Hansen vs. Predator. This episode is now available online, along with many other troll videos and nasty comments from fans of the show. In the aftermath, I've experienced humiliation, harassment, and embarrassment. One could argue that this was justified, but I've surely lived with much remorse since the arrest. Since my current name will always be linked via a simple internet search, I'm requesting authorization to change
Sonny
my
Derek
name.
Porter.
I'm working hard to
You're
be a better
fucked
person
no
overall,
matter where
and
you go.
making a
This
sincere
is the
effort
internet.
to treat everyone with respect. I hope to meet new friends and acquaintances, and wish not to be judged based on one gigantic mistake I made a few years ago. I hope to be judged for the person I really am, the person I am today. More than anything, I would like a second chance at a happy and safe life. However, the name change was eventually rejected, which only led to more trolling. It was then discovered
I didn't read that.
the name
A man that has a thriving career in the insurance industry always buys the large pizza, even if the small is almost as big as as big as the big one, and had definitely never been on television committing a crime.
change was eventually rejected, which
Sonny
only
Derek
led to
Porter.
more trolling. It was then discovered that Jeff had been forced to sell his apartment, and according to this Reddit comment, which isn't the best evidence, Jeff moved in with his parents in blank. It
Like the duck.
seems like he comes from a pretty affluent family, so he probably just mooches from his parents and stays low-key. The most recent photo of him comes from early 2021, which unfortunately marks the final piece of information we have on Jeff Sokol, because despite being one of the show's most notable people, he certainly kept one of the lowest profiles.
All right. Well, that's where they're all at. They're homeless. They're living with their parents. And other terrible things. I just don't. So these are the more popular ones. Obviously, should have expected that. But interesting nonetheless. Some of them are scumbags. I don't know. I guess they're all scumbags, aren't they? But this is the thing. Like, I just don't really know much about them, so I can't really judge them on, because they didn't go too far into exactly what happened in each episode. I mean, they all trying to fuck a 13-year-old, so either way, you're going to hell. I'm trying to remember that Super Mario Brothers Super Show quote where he's just like, oh fuck, what is it? What did Mario say in that? You're gonna go to hell. You're gonna burn in hell, just like or something. What the fuck was the quote? Now I forgot. God damn, I used to love that quote. Hold on. This is a Super Mario Bros. Super Show. I'll just put hell, maybe. Yeah, here we go.
Holy cannoli, kids, I'm Mario, and I'm telling you, if you're not watching the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, you go to hell before you die.
You go to... Please. You go to hell before you die. That's what he says. That's not the actual quote. Obviously, there you go. And if you do drugs, you go to hell before you die. There you go. That's what he says. He didn't say you burn in hell. I made it a little bit more zestier. Anyway, there we go. That's it. Bye.